Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and Apple released watchOS 27 Beta 3. watchOS 27 Beta 3 is available to developers on all watchOS 27 supported devices. This came in at a fairly large 3.9 gigabytes on the Apple Watch Ultra 3, and in order to install this faster, I used the little trick I've talked about before where you disable Bluetooth. So typically you'll go into your Watch app, start the install, and once it does that, it's going to take a while, and you can speed it up by going into Bluetooth, then disabling Bluetooth. When it's done installing, then you can turn it back on. However, if you don't want to do it that way, you can also go and just check for the update within your settings and install it that way. But again, turn off Bluetooth as it will try to default to the Apple Watch. So you'll see currently it says unable to check, but we'll try again, but it's already updated. Now, along with this, Apple also released many other updates with iOS 27 Beta 3, iPadOS 27 Beta 3, tvOS and HomePodOS 27 Beta 3, macOS 27 Golden Gate Beta 3, and visionOS 27 Beta 3, along with iOS 26.6 Beta 4 and all the other iOS 26.6 betas as well. Now let's take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So again, we'll go back into Settings. This time we'll go back to General, and this time we'll go into About. And as you can see, the build number is 24R5315I, and that just lets you know what version you're on. And the big update for this particular beta is Siri AI. So Siri AI is now functioning properly. It's the new updated icon. So if we press and hold the digital crown, you'll see it shows up here. Now you can continue to respond to it or talk to it just like you can on iPhone. So let's try out a couple things. What's the weather right now? What's the weather for the next week or so? And you'll see you can continue to respond or talk back and forth, and it will update it here. And this looks a little nicer, so it's giving a little update as to what's going on, and you can see everything here as far as what I've asked, what the next weather will be like over the next week or so. So really nice with a lot of different details here. Let's try something else other than just weather. Again, you'll see it's a little bit choppy and slow, but this is the first beta they've implemented this. Who won the last F1 race? And there we go. It gives the information about the last Grand Prix. Let's ask one other question. Let's try another one. When is the next F1 race? And you'll see it gives additional information here.
The next F1 race is the...
And for some reason it speaks it sometimes and other times it doesn't. But you'll see again, it's a little bit buggy, but it works as you would expect at least. And I think it will get even better over the next few betas. Let's try one more. What was the last World Cup score? You'll see it here. So again, it's not speaking through, but it's giving more information about it, and that gives you an idea of how it works. Also, if we go into our settings, you'll see we have the dedicated Siri app. If we go into that, you can see all of our latest conversations with the World Cup results, F1 race results, weather, and more. So again, this works just like you would expect, like it does on iOS, syncs across all the devices. And if I go back over to iOS and we go into the dedicated Siri app here, you'll see it's already updated here. So again, it carries back and forth, syncs across all devices that have the Siri app, and it's a really nice update. But again, keep in mind that this is in beta, and it will get a little bit better. We have some settings for Siri as well. So if we go into our settings, we'll go back here, go back again, scroll down to where we have Siri, and again, they've updated the icon there. If we go into it, you'll see that we have Listen For, Raise to Speak, all of the regular things. We also have Set Up Now. So if you need to set up Siri, this could be a bug. Maybe it's highlighted for some others, but I don't have it here. But you could set it up here, and then you have Siri responses, control how it speaks and displays and everything else, just like you would expect. So basically all the same things you would regularly expect, and that's available now. Another update has to do with the reminders icon. It looks like they've updated it here a little bit with a few different changes in the icon itself. You can see that on the iPhone a little bit better, where they've sort of added some icons within the circles there, and it just looks a little bit different on reminders. So it's a slight change, but something they've updated. Now in this update, I'm not seeing any new watch faces or anything like that. However, we do expect some updates maybe by the time it's released to the public. There's also no changes to the app switcher, unfortunately. So in order to close an app out, so maybe if we went into activity, we're taking a look here. Let's close out of that with the activity app. If we're in this and maybe we need to restart it because we're having a problem, the only way to do that is hold the side button here. Wait for it to go to this screen, then press and hold the digital crown. Now it's restarted, so if I go back in here, go back into activity, it reloads, and it restarts the app. I really wish they'd bring some other way to bring that back, a nice app switcher to switch between your apps or something along those lines. Maybe they'll bring that back by the time it's released to the public. Also, the walkie-talkie has not returned. I'm not sure that it will at this point. I don't know how many people used it, but I do think it was a very helpful feature for those that did want to use it. So again, there's no walkie-talkie here, and maybe they'll bring that back. As far as bugs and bug fixes, well, some people still say that there's issues with workouts and its overall accuracy. So that's something some people are mentioning. And as far as other known issues or resolved issues, let's take a look at Apple's release notes. And on Apple's public-facing release note website, if we scroll down to where we have watchOS 27 Beta 3 and take a look at these, we now have 10 categories of known issues down from 11, and we also have 7 categories of resolved issues. So again, there's quite a few issues still ongoing here. For health, for example, they did resolve an issue where when a third-party heart rate monitor is active, Apple Watch pauses background heart rate measurements and heart rate notifications, and it looks like they've resolved that issue. So quite a few things here, but if you're having issues, make sure to check it in here. And then if you're still having an issue that's not listed, make sure to mention it in the feedback app. So on your iPhone, if you're running the betas, go into feedback and then talk about it there. As far as overall performance, well, using it regularly seems to be okay. If we go into things such as Compass, maybe back into activity, maybe we'll go into Lumi, the app I'm using here, or if we go back into maybe something else that we haven't run for a little bit, or actually one that I like to use but I haven't run, is Noise, that shows the decibel level around you right here. So this is working fine. Things are performing well with the exception of Siri. That's a little bit sluggish. And if we go in here with the control center, from time to time, that can be sluggish as well. When it comes to battery life, let's first take a look at battery health. I haven't checked it today, so let's go back. We'll go to where battery is here. And if we go into battery, we'll scroll down to battery health. You'll see we're at 100%, and I've used this every single day just about since it released. So it's holding up well. My previous Apple Watch Ultras lasted well over about a year or so with 100% battery health, so they're holding up very well that way. And as far as battery life, I'm currently at 66%. I took it off the charger this morning, and now it's many hours later. So it seems to be doing well, even though, of course, it had to charge to install the update, but it will take a few days to measure that, and we can talk about that in the weekend follow-up video if you'd like to hear about the watch there as well. If you're wondering if you should install watchOS 27 Beta 3, well, absolutely if you're on Beta 2 or Beta 1. However, if you're on watchOS 26.5, I probably would hold off as there's no way to downgrade without bringing it to an Apple store. So if you're not worried about that, then you could try it out. But otherwise, I typically recommend against installing the update because you can't downgrade it yourself. So as long as that doesn't matter to you, you could try it out, but just keep that in mind. The only other thing worth mentioning is we should be getting some new watch faces, and this watch face in particular was rumored to get an update with modular, but it's the watch face I'm using. And to take a look at it here, we'll just show you quick as many people ask me. But basically I'm using the Lumi app as I mentioned earlier. Then we have activity, we have compass, messages, then the weather, and then the date. So if you wanted to set it up this way yourself, you can do that. And again, this is the Lumi app. It's a paid app that I bought many years ago at this point, and it just shows countdown to golden hour, other things such as day overview, or whatever you would prefer to have in there. I just like the way this looks, and it lets me know basically around when sunset is or when it's the best time to take photos and video. And so that's everything with watchOS 27 Beta 3. It's nice to have that Siri update. Of course, I'll have to try that out, see how well it works from day-to-day use, but let me know if you found anything else in watchOS 27 Beta 3 as well. Of course, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.